What up YouTube, it's Misery Hates Company. In this video, we're going to cover the best settings for Modern Warfare 2 for PC. There's so many rich settings in this game, which makes it phenomenal because you can really make all the adjustments necessary to make it look beautiful no matter how good or bad or medium your setup is. So in this video, I am going to show you guys all the best settings for PC, as well as my controller setup, which some of these are personal preference, but I will make sure to spell those out so you guys know you can tweak those as necessary. But I think that this is going to be the best setup for you guys to really showcase the best and like the beauty of this game. So without further ado, let's get straight to the video. All right, so first things first, you're going to go up to your settings. We're going to go to, let's start with controller. I have it on set to mouse right now. Obviously, you would switch that to controller if you're going to be using controller. Your button layout, the one that I find personally to be the most efficient is going to be tactical. Just a personal preference here. Like I said earlier, this is just what I think is the most, I guess, like friendly. It switches your melee and then your slide. I personally like to slide with my right thumbstick. And I feel like this is keeps my hands where I want them to be on the sticks a little bit longer. So, which is exactly what I want it to be. While I'm in here though, I did not adjust anything else, but if you wanted to, you can make it custom and change literally everything, which is phenomenal. I do not flip the bumpers. Some people say that you can do this, so you can switch to your triggers to be the bumpers on your actual controller. So that way you would actually shoot with these instead of with this. Apparently it helps make it register a little bit quicker. That's not something that makes any sense to me, so I'm good. Controller vibration, I play with it off. I don't want it to interrupt my aiming at all. I currently play on 6.6 sensitivity. I typically, like in the past, I play with a higher sense, but I'm gonna be honest, 6 is what I think is a nice starting point, just getting back into the game. 7 is considered high, but obviously you can go all the way up to, you know, very high and insane. It's literally called insane. That's phenomenal. So for me, 6 is a good number. I feel like it is a nice balance. I feel like I can flick on people still with my controller without overly overshooting it, which is exactly where I want to be. Since multipliers, I have all these set to 1. You can feel free to adjust them, but this is just how I have them set myself. I do personally play on inverted. I have always played on inverted when it comes to first-person shooters. This is obviously just personal preference. I'm probably the weird one here. Basically, on your right thumbstick, when it comes to viewing, down is up and up is down is what inverted means. I just have always played that way, and I'm not going to be able to change. I've tried several times. Moving on, though. So aim down sight behavior, I personally go to hold. Automatic sprint. For this one, I would definitely recommend ATS or automatic tactical sprint. That way, no matter when you start sprinting, you just always use your tac sprint, which is especially in a game that's so slow. When you do want to run, you can run very quickly, which is perfect. Equipment behavior hold. I personally, for weapon or for mounting, I like ADS and melee. I've seen double ADS. That just doesn't feel natural to me like at all, but ADS and melee definitely does, especially with my button layout where I have to go off of my thumbstick to mantle. That way I don't do it on accident. I do prioritize my reload, and then armor when it comes to Warzone, apply all is definitely how I prefer it. Your aim assist. So this is something new. Obviously you want to make sure you have target aim assist on. But if you want to improve your aim assist on controller, you actually want to switch this to Black Ops. So it says the traditional aim slowdown near target used in Black Ops games. So this one is a whole heck of a lot more snappy than the normal. Play with it, it's personal preference, but Black Ops is going to feel like you're locked on. Like this is aim assist on crack. So I'm going to think you're going to want to use this one. So use Black Ops. So for the aim responsive curve, you are going to want to use dynamic. It reverses the S-curve mapping. Basically, it just makes it a whole lot smoother for your aim responsiveness. I have switched to this and have loved it. I know a lot of people are recommending it, but go ahead, believe me, it's a good thing to switch to. All right. Everything else here is pretty normal. Your dead zones, switch to this if you don't have any dead zones. In fact, I actually want to go ahead and lower this to 0, 0 for my right triggers. I meant to do this. So basically for your left stick and right stick, go to 0.01. And then for your max, you want to do 0.99. I have a brand new controller, so I don't have any stick drift. Stick drift is basically if you go into the game, don't touch your controller, hold it up, and you see yourself moving. This allows you to add a little bit of like almost indirect input lag. So that way you can delay when it starts to register to get rid of that stick drift. When you get a new controller, you don't have to worry about it, which is funny because it doesn't default to this. I would make note of that. So if you do have a brand new controller, you're going to want to change your settings to this because it's not set by default to like a brand new controller settings. I do find that a little odd. But again, go ahead and do this. It eliminates all the dead zones, so you have a just incredibly high response time for both your triggers as well as your sticks. Show less. Tactical snip behavior, you're going to go ahead and switch that to double tap. That's fine there. Auto move forward is not something I'm interested in. And then everything else is unchanged, I believe. Plunging underwater is movement. I personally prefer it this way. That way I don't freely look. It matches what I do automatically. You know, I'm a bot, so I have auto parachute deploy on. Sprinting through doors, I also toggle on because I want to be able to bash through those doors as much as possible. I will note, like, it only happens when you're sprinting. So if you wanted to be super sneaky, you could just crouch and easily open the door slowly, which in my opinion is the better setting, because if you are going to crouch open a door, you're probably going to be crouching. So everything else is all normals here. Medium, deplete ammo weapon switch on, totally normal here. Quick detonation on C4, I don't touch that because I'd end up killing myself for sure. And yeah, everything else is normal. Moving on to graphics. So full screen, and this is obviously for PC. I would highly recommend you use full screen exclusive, because if you could use the full screen borderless, but I'm gonna be honest, I play with this a lot, especially when I'm recording, and it's a lot easier for my multiple monitors just to be able to switch my mouse to whatever monitor I'm using. It definitely gives you some screen tear, some FPS drop. Like, full screen exclusive is where it's at, so make sure you switch to that. You're gonna pick whatever monitor you want the game on. Pretty self-sufficient there. If you have two different GPUs, you could pick one, but I mean, obviously use your GPU here. Screen refresh rate, I don't have a super fancy monitor, so the one that I have is 144, which is still pretty good, but not some of like the super crazy ones. I am playing on 1920 by 1080. Automatic ratio is, I like this on automatic, but if you get any like weird like black screens, you can adjust this manually, so feel free to do that. I do turn VSync and VSync menus off. It drops your FPS and it's not worth it to me. Custom frame rate, I do bump this up to 250 with the menu custom frame rate of 120, and then out of focus custom frame rate to 30. That way I can stay roughly where I want to be, which is in like the 120 and above range on most situations. If you have any issues with your shaders, feel free to use this. You basically come up to this and click this and it will restart it. Because the game is brand new, you shouldn't have to do this, so just keep this in mind later on, that if you have any issues with the shaders in your game, just click this button and it'll reset them for you. So that way it'll literally fix the issue for you, which is a nice little add there. Everything else, so the display gamma, you're probably going to want this on sRGB 2.2. Brightness, I would definitely recommend bumping it up just a hair, just the ever-loving hair up to 55. It starts on 50 by default. Bump it up to 55. It makes a little bit of those dark corners a little bit less dark. So take my word for it. It's worth a change. And then I don't use focus mode. Going over to quality. So they do have this new thing called custom. You can change it to all the different things. I personally love custom because I have more control over it. I do have my, you do want to match your screen resolution to whatever you set it for in display. So again, 1920 1080. Fidelity FX CAS is going to be the most beautiful one for most people. Play around with them though. There are several different options. I've played with all of them, and honestly, this is the one that makes it the most sharp. So if your computer can handle it, I would definitely recommend this. But then I would then go to show more, and then make sure you bump up the fidelity strength all the way to 100. It's a very noticeable difference to your gameplay. Anti-aliasing or whatever, I do have this on SMAA T2X. This is the one that I feel like it makes it just a little bit sharper, so I would definitely recommend you do the same. And then I do the same thing, but put it on ultra quality, but I do lower the video memory scale. It adjusts this in increments of 10, so you do have to type in 85. 85 is just honestly the sweet spot for me, so I'm not overloading my GPU. It's a nice little balance there for my VRAM. Texture quality I have on high, texture filter normal. This one I do adjust a little bit, nearby level of detail low, distant level of detail low. When it comes time for Warzone, I might bump this up to high, but as of right now, I'm liking this the way it is. I have the cluttered draw distance to short. I thought I had that on long, actually. Did it change? Oh, never mind. Actually, yeah, I did have that on long. Yeah, change it to long. Particle quality, I bumped this down to low because it's one of those things like you really don't have to have, like you're not going to notice the biggest difference. I can't even tell the difference between these two pictures here from the left and the right. They're particles. I mean, save a little bit of, RAM space and GPU space as you can. So just take off a little bit of pressure. Particle quality level I do have on very low. Again, it's particles. I don't necessarily need to see how badly I'm bleeding out to a thermite. Bullet impacts, again, I personally like this. It gives a little bit more information, a little bit more realism. If you're having FPS drop, this is a quick thing to turn off, and it'll have a little bit less impact on your CPU and GPU. Shader quality, you're going to want this on high. If it had ultra, I would recommend that as well. Tessellation, yeah, I have that on low, or near, excuse me. Terrain memory I have on max, so that way it's not downloading in the background. On-demand texture streaming, I do have on as well. Streaming quality low, volumetric quality low. Again, just these are little things that you don't need to have all that high, so I would recommend you just taking these slight adjustments to improve your overall gameplay. And then preferred physics quality high. Water is, you know, I mean, it just like lets the light shine through. I like it off personally, but it is what it is. Shadow map resolution I have on normal. Screen space shadows I do have off. Spot shadow quality low, spot cache low, particle lighting I have normal. Both are fine here. And then, so basically you can see where I prioritized early on where I wanted high level of resolution on things that like matter, and I'm doing a lower quality for things that are really just not important to the gameplay. I want to min-max my GPU the best I can and the overall memory for the game, as you can see down here. I want to make sure that I have plenty of room to run and record and have other things open like Discord, which can at times be kind of awkwardly heavy on your computer in a weird way. But yeah, so this is going to be how I prioritize everything. Weather grid volumes low, NVIDIA reflex low latency on. Some people switch to boost. This is personal preference. I like it on. I feel like it's crisper and it's more fluent is the word I was looking for there. And these last three, I would just toggle all of these off. Depth of field off, world motion blur off, weapon blur off, and then film grain, bump that bad boy down to 0. It just keeps your game that much crisper. When you go to view, I think I only changed one thing and I know it was. I'll go back and adjust that later. And then field of view, obviously, if you can. This is new for console as well. You can actually bump this up to 120, which is phenomenal. Affected field of view is actually exactly what you're going to want. I think it starts on independent, which means it gives you that weird, like almost like a double zoom, where if your FOV is 120, it goes down to like 60. So it feels like you're zooming in that much closer, and you do lose those side angles. Some people like that. I personally definitely do not, and I definitely want it to be affected. So I have those wider angles. Weapon field of view, this is personal preference as well. So the default is where your gun is in the middle. If you went wide, as you can see from the far right picture over here, you cannot because I'm blocking it. It basically adjusts where your gun is on the screen. So if you wanted a little bit of off center so you could see the things in front of you, you could do that. I did that for Halo Infinite when I played, but it doesn't feel good in this game. So I don't know why it felt differently, but I like normal. Personal preference there. And then I don't play third person at all. I'm just not that type of gamer. Vehicle field of view, though, you do want wide. This will help you look around corners when you're driving, or especially navigating like through tight corridors. You're going to want that on wide. First person camera movement, I do have the least. It makes you less nauseous, honestly. Same for third person. And then everything else is basically the same. That's going to do it for this video. This is going to be the best overall settings to keep you just at the top of your game, making sure that you're using all your computer resources in the right way and where you want to use them on the actual gameplay quality and not on things that don't actually matter. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with this, if you've tried these settings, you like it, or if there's anything in particular that you change. If there's any other settings you want me to cover, let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to look at it for you. Until next time, guys, lock it in.